When a woman genuinely loves someone, she begins expressing it in ways she is not even conscious of. The difficulty is that most men walk right past these expressions without registering what they mean. And because of that, they find themselves doubting something real while investing themselves emotionally in connections that were never built on anything solid. Over the next few minutes, 5 quiet signs will become clear to you, signs that reveal a woman has genuinely chosen you. These are not things she does out of habit or politeness. They are personal, largely unconscious expressions that tell you exactly where you stand in her life. If you have ever sat with uncertainty about how she truly feels, stay with this, because by the end of it, the picture will be considerably clearer. The 5th sign is the morning photo she sends before she has done anything else. When she takes the very first photo of her day and sends it to you, that is not a routine message. It is often raw and unpolished. Her hair may not be done. She may not have gone through any of the rituals she normally uses to present herself to the world. And yet, despite all of that, you are the one she chooses to share that moment with first. What that actually means is straightforward but significant. You are living in her first thoughts of the day. Before she puts on any kind of face for anyone else, she lets you see the version of herself that exists before all of that. That is not a casual gesture. It carries real emotional openness. It communicates that she does not feel any pressure to perform around you, that she trusts you enough to be unguarded. How you respond to that matters far more than most men understand. A hollow reply, something minimal and throwaway, can feel like a quiet rejection of something she offered genuinely. Instead, meet her where she is. Notice something real in the image. Her expression, the softness of the moment, whatever is actually there. Telling her she looks peaceful or warm or simply herself in that moment makes her feel something specific. Not just noticed, but genuinely seen. And when a woman feels truly safe being unfiltered with someone, she naturally begins opening up at deeper and deeper levels. The 4th sign is her sleeping space. When she brings you into that part of her personal world, or naturally creates room for you there, it represents something that goes well beyond physical proximity. A bedroom, and specifically a bed, is one of the most emotionally loaded spaces in anyone's life. It is where the walls come down completely. It is where she rests without performance, where she is at her most unguarded and unprotected. When she shares that with you, something is happening beneath the surface. Her mind is quietly building an association between your presence and her sense of safety. You are no longer just someone who passes through her life. You are beginning to feel like part of her peace. The important thing to understand here is that emotional safety is fragile and can be undone quickly when someone's presence starts to feel heavy or demanding. Your role in those moments is not to fill the space aggressively, but to inhabit it steadily. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is simply a calm, grounded presence, without any agenda attached to it. A quiet embrace when it feels natural, an energy that makes her feel settled rather than pressured. Because if she is willing to let you into the place where she is most vulnerable, it leads naturally to the question of what happens when she starts granting you access to the parts of herself she guards most carefully in other ways as well. The 3rd sign is something she wears regularly that she gives to you. When she hands you a hoodie she loves or a shirt that has become a personal staple for her, there is more happening in that moment than a simple exchange of clothing. What she is actually transferring is something of herself. Her scent is in the fabric. The feeling of comfort she associates with it is embedded there. The emotional familiarity of something that belongs to her daily life travels with it. And by giving it to you, she is unconsciously leaving a piece of her presence with you, even when she is not physically around. This is a quiet but real form of bonding. On a psychological level, the mind links scent and familiar objects to emotional states, comfort, attachment, and connection. When you hold or wear something that belongs to her personal world, your presence begins to merge with her sense of ease and safety. It also reflects a degree of trust that should not go unacknowledged. She is not giving you something arbitrary. She is giving you something she herself finds comfort in. That says something meaningful about how secure she feels with you. In many cases, she will not have a fully conscious explanation for why she did it. It simply felt right. But underneath that instinct is a quiet attachment taking root, one that grows through familiarity and emotional closeness rather than through any deliberate effort. One small way to honor that moment is to acknowledge it lightly the next time you see her. You could hand it back with a playful tone and tell her it is starting to smell more like you now, and maybe she should keep it. That kind of gentle teasing builds emotional warmth without creating any pressure. And if she laughs, holds your gaze, and smiles in that moment, what you are seeing is comfort, attraction, and an openness she is not trying to hide. The second sign is the last bite. When a woman is genuinely emotionally invested in someone, she will often offer them the final piece of her food without giving it much thought. On the surface, it looks like nothing, but psychologically, it carries weight. People instinctively protect what they are enjoying. The last portion of something is typically the most satisfying part. When she gives that to you without hesitation, she is in a quiet, unspoken way, placing your enjoyment above her own immediate satisfaction. That is affection communicated through action rather than language. The way to receive it matters. Do not absorb it passively or treat it as something insignificant. Accept it with a real smile, keep it light, and gently reflect it back to her. Something like telling her she must think a lot of you if she is surrendering the best part helps her become softly aware of the care she is already expressing. It transforms a small habit into a genuine moment of connection between two people. The first sign, and the most intimate of all, connects back to what was said earlier about the most protected parts of herself. Every woman has certain areas where touch carries a different kind of weight. Places where physical contact feels more personal, more emotionally charged than anywhere else. It might be the back of her neck, her waist, her hand resting in yours, or simply the way she leans into you without any prompting. When she allows you into that space, what is happening is not just physical. It is trust made physical. It is her nervous system communicating that something about your presence feels genuinely safe. And how you respond in those moments is more important than the touch itself. Do not rush it. Do not bring any sense of urgency or pressure to it. Instead, pay attention to what makes her soften, what makes her relax, what draws her naturally a little closer. Bring a steady and unhurried energy to those moments, because genuine attraction does not build through intensity. It builds through safety, and that is where the real distinction lies. Chemistry that is purely surface level comes fast and fades just as quickly, but love that is real develops slowly, through trust earned over time and emotional consistency that never wavers. When you hold all 5 of these signs alongside each other, a clear pattern emerges. The unfiltered morning photo is an act of vulnerability. Sharing her sleeping space is an act of trust. Giving you something she wears and values is emotional attachment made physical. Offering you the last bite is quiet, wordless affection. And allowing you into her most intimate physical space is safety and surrender combined. None of these are things she consciously decides to perform. They flow out of real feeling, and that is precisely why they matter more than anything she might say. Words can be shaped and managed. Emotional behavior, when it is genuine, largely cannot be. Your real strength in any relationship is not in the pursuit. It is in the recognition. The man who understands these signals never has to guess where he stands. He does not waste his energy on uncertainty because he has learned to read what is actually being given to him. And that matters more than almost any other skill in this area of life. Real connection does not leave you chronically confused. It reveals itself through consistency, through the way someone repeatedly chooses you in small moments that most people never think to notice. Because genuine love is almost never announced loudly. It does not arrive through grand declarations or perfect timing. It shows up quietly, in the habits, the routines, the tiny daily choices that accumulate into something unmistakable. When a woman is truly invested in someone, she begins drawing him into her personal world without any conscious plan to do so, into her comfort, into the texture of her ordinary days, into the parts of herself she does not share freely. These are not calculated gestures. They are feelings that find their way out through behavior because genuine connection cannot stay completely invisible. The truth in all of this is simple. You do not need to chase clarity when it is already being shown through action. You simply need to pay attention to what is being expressed rather than fixating on what is being said, because real love is not a puzzle to solve. It is a pattern of safety, trust, and consistency that becomes easier to see the more clearly you learn to look. When those things are genuinely present, very little else requires explanation. So rather than spending energy over analyzing or trying to force certainty, turn your attention to how you are being treated in the small, quiet, unremarkable moments. That is always where the truth lives. And once you learn to see it there, you stop chasing confusion entirely and start recognizing real connection for exactly what it is.